You're watching CarTell.tv and I'm Amelia.
With the government's recent pledge for net zero by 2050, you would think we'd be seeing more real incentives put forward to help make us move towards electric vehicles.
Yet, we don't. There are still no incentives to make electric cars more affordable, and instead, some kind of hoo-ha about people having the right to choose their own vehicle and our very sensitive government not wanting to push electric cars onto people. A flexible government and the right to choose. Where has that been for the past 2 years? Well, ScoMo, there are actually plenty of people who would really prefer an electric vehicle over an ICE vehicle, myself included. So by incentivising them, by bringing the prices down, you would in turn give people more choice anyway. Why is this so hard for you to understand? Anyway, rant over, let's talk about some cars.
Just a few days ago, Jenny reviewed the latest Kia Sorento PHEV that's a plug-in hybrid, which means it has a battery that you can charge directly and can give you 68 kilometres as a pure electric car, but also has an internal combustion engine in there, which means you can also drive it as a regular hybrid.
With me today, I have this naturally aspirated 3.5 litre V6 Kia Sorento. It is obviously far less fuel efficient, but it does have a proper engine for this size body.
And rather than just do a regular review, I wanted to instead run through some of the differences with you and hopefully answer some of the questions you might have about EVs in the process.
But mostly to open it up in the comments below and let's see if we've got some conversation.
Straight off the bat, you'll notice that the V6 actually sports the old logo, while the PHEV has that new Kia logo.
Not too big a deal, but subtly representative of which one is old school and which one dips into modernity.
In terms of the range, surprisingly, they both actually have the same size fuel tank. It's a 67 litre fuel tank. So with an average fuel consumption of 9.7 litres, this V6 Sorento should give you an estimated range of 690 kilometres. The PHEV, on the other hand, adds that battery and motor, which, when combined with its 1.6 litre petrol engine, gives an approximated consumption of 1.6 litres per 100 kilometres. Then based off that, you would have a range of 4,188 kilometres.
Sounds incredible.
Also factor in the 68 kilometres of pure EV range, and if you charge it nightly and drive on average within 68 kilometres per day, you could really get away with a pure EV car. When it comes to how they feel to drive, the actual combined output of the PHEV is very close to that of the V6, but you do notice that the PHEV is a 1.6 and that the electric motor is not huge. They are great in terms of efficiency, even in practical terms, and they do give a reasonable push, but the top combined power is not as present as it is on the V6. Basically, the 1.6 engine alone is great, but insufficient for a body of this size. It needs help, and it does get it from the electric motor, but it starts to taper after around 2,200 revs, giving great help when taking off, but missing out on the rest, not to mention when there's no juice in the battery.
The V6, on the other hand, does what a V6 should.
It has no turbo, so it's not a powerhouse, and you have to rev it harder to get to the top figures.
But the feel behind the wheel is that when you really put the pedal down, this one definitely has a bit more grunt.
It builds a push as the revs rise, whereas the PHEV relies mostly on the push from the 1.6 in those conditions, and that is obviously not enough.
So the V6 is definitely better in terms of performance, but I wouldn't say that it necessarily transforms a Sorento into a performance vehicle.
It is still a 3-row SUV built for comfort. Moreover, fuel consumption is much higher. The PHEV really hit the sweet spot when it comes to fuel efficiency.
Before I tell you about what I think of the relevance of the V6, I do just want to mention the price.
Which isn't really a fair comparison. This V6 only comes in the S and Sport trims, which are the two bottom trims, and this Sport 2-wheel drive I have here will cost $52,000 drive away or $184 per week with our channel partners Ozloans. The Sorento PHEV GT line all-wheel drive that Jenny reviewed will cost $82,000 drive away. It's not just the powertrains that differentiate the price between them, but also the fact that they are completely different trims and different capability. But still, it doesn't mean we wouldn't like to see some government incentives to help make EV cars more affordable, and this is a good example as to why.
So, is the V6 Sorento obsolete? In practical terms, pretty much. I mean, sure, it's fast, but don't hope for a sports car.
And it has more boot space, but nothing spectacular.
Basically, the only reasons to actually buy the V6 are if you really want that extra bit of push or to save some dollars on the purchase price. Because, may I remind you, that our Prime Minister hasn't incentivised them.
While the Sorento PHEV is currently inferior in terms of sheer performance, it just offers so much more in terms of efficiency and even an actually usable all-EV range. If you plan to have some driving fun, none of the current Sorento powering options are really for you.
However, if you want a really practical SUV with that taste of EV convenience and efficiency, then the plug-in hybrid is definitely the way to go. Thanks for watching Cartel TV. Now, if you need a new car, make sure you check out our channel partners, Oz Loans. They can offer you some of the best car loan rates going round. And I'm really curious to know, what are your thoughts on electric vehicles? Do you also think that our government should be incentivising them, or should we just vote Amelia in for Prime Minister? Tell me in the comments below. I look forward to hearing from you.